Man, what a team. They just dropped the rankings. A&M's ranked 3 again. We don't care. It doesn't matter. Who cares what they say about our defense? Who cares what they say about Indiana's offense compared to A&M's? We're watching this team. We're watching its evolution. And it's just so much fun. What a freaking breath of fresh air compared to the last X amount of years. Whatever you want to, equate your battered Aggie syndrome to in terms of years or decades, whatever you've lived through, this has to feel good. This has to feel different because at A&M, it's always felt like the team just figures out how to lose. It always feels like the team just crumbles in the biggest moments. This team is winning moments. This team is getting better in the crunch time of games. This team it's obviously a second half team. And it's just been a pleasure to watch, man. I sit down and I break down and take notes on every single play of every single game. And the game versus Missouri was some of the most fun I've had watching this team all year because it just evolves, man. And these coordinators, Elko and Klein and Bateman, are doing awesome things because they have the roster that allows them to do amazing things, both in terms of talent and in terms of just maturity and continuity. You get into year 2, you bring your entire staff back, you add a guy, you add a couple guys, you make a couple of shifts, but same terminology, same people, for the most part, same players, and you're fully reaping the benefits of that. I mean, tremendous job in roster construction, tremendous job in just scheme development, player development, strength and conditioning. And of course, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to gush about this team. Now, of course, there are areas this team needs to improve. They're good for a turnover here and there. They throw a few interceptable balls. They have a problem in giving up explosive runs. Gap fits have been a problem, but what's been a consistent positive for this team is an answer. They always have an answer. They always have a solution. They always have the next step, whether that's defense picking up offense, vice versa, or just responding within a game. It's been so fun to watch, and of course, it's been fun to watch Marcel Reed and his growth. I just got chills out of nowhere. Marcel Reed's been awesome. He's a surefire Heisman contender. He will be in New York. He has 2 games to go and earn it. Right now he's playing a little bit from behind. I think he's 3rd or 4th in odds. Mendoza and Sayin are great. They're all good players. They're all worthy. But Marcel Reed will have a big spotlight game late in the season and the SEC championship to go out and earn what is his against really good opposition, really good defenses. We're looking out for that. But today, guys, I just want to talk about this team. I haven't done a sit-down with you guys, an old-fashioned Drew kind of video where we just sit and talk ball, talk about this team. So I'm going to go position by position today. And then at the end of this video, if you want to stick around to the end, I'm going to throw some film stuff in there. I dropped like maybe 15 to 20 plays that I want to talk about with you guys. Some of Elko's blitz stuff, some stuff the offense is doing, the way they're using their tight ends, the way they're leveraging end arounds, the way they're leveraging quarterback run, the way they're using quarterback run. I want to look at all that stuff with you guys today. So buckle in, probably a longer video. Sorry I've been delayed in getting you a video following up the Missouri game. My wife just went for a small procedure, a small surgery, so I've been taking care of her, but we're good to go. She's all good. So I'll hopefully drop 2 videos. So if you're watching this on Wednesday, I'll probably be dropping the South Carolina preview on the same day. So if y'all want a lot of Aggie content today, I'm going to throw it your way. And, of course, we'll go live Thursday, too. Full steam ahead, man. It turns out doing this podcast, doing this show is a lot more fun and a lot more just fun, enjoyable when A&M's a really freaking good football team. So, guys, thanks for being here. Like and sub. Rambling kind of a video. A lot of talking. I want to hear from you guys. Comment your thoughts about this team. If you disagree with anything I say, you want to expand on anything I say, please let me know. I want to start with the offense because the defense is great. The defense does have a few more issues than the offense does, but the defense is really good on 3rd downs, and that's like a huge benefit. This pass rush, the blitz package is amazing. But I want to start on offense and just start with the growth of this running back room because Le'Veon Moss goes down last year, and this entire team suffered. Obviously, you don't have the receiver talent you do this year. Your quarterback's a year younger. He only has a few starts under his belt, has probably 10 more starts now than he did this time last year, if not more, whatever the numbers are. And you're not skipping a beat. You just ran the ball down Missouri's throat to close out a game. I don't think Missouri touched the ball after the 7-minute marker, after Missouri scored that explosive running touchdown late. Never got the ball back. And it was able to take the air out of the game against a team who's made their money this year at stopping the run. And we had talked about Ruben Owens looking like he's ready to pop. Mississippi State, obviously a great game. State, not great at defending the run. Took it with a grain of salt. Maybe a half step back against Florida, maybe getting into some old habits, a little bit sped up, a little bit impatient. And then these last two games versus Arkansas and LSU, we talked about how maybe the stats don't reflect great performances, but I think the eye test did, and it showed that patience, and his game got cut short versus LSU, and if you were able to play late, maybe the numbers do look as good as the eye test does. And versus Missouri, we got it all. He's really taking his time in the backfield. He's really letting things develop. He's putting himself into a position where he can make one cut. He can cut back. He can find daylight and get to full speed. Because we saw, I don't know, I have to look it up, but there's a Twitter page that marks the fastest college players every week. Ruben Owens was the fastest college player in week 11 of the college football season. They rank all the fastest runs. They measure them up against each other. Ruben Owens was the fastest. So he just needs to get past that first level. And with this offensive line, with the scheme, there's obviously going to be room to run, and he's absolutely making it happen. So Ruben's development's great. You're going to get Le'Veon back, and right now it 100% looks like the kind of season where A&M will be playing extra meaningful football. I'm not talking bowl games here. I'm not talking Vegas. I'm not talking the good old Texas Bowl. I'm talking playoffs. Playoffs? So you're going to get Moss back. Ruben's here like in the pressure cooker, just getting better and better. He was kind of in the crock pot before. Now he's in the pressure cooker. Trial by fire. Trial by way of being running back one. And it's going really well for him. It's really fun to see this 5-star talent really come to fruition at the college level. That's always a very satisfying thing to see. We've seen it from DJ Hicks this year. We're certainly seeing it from Ruben. The rest of this room is really good too. And I think the best attribute about this running game is obviously the depth. Obviously the story that is E.J. Smith is fantastic college football, just cinema. Just, transferring into A&M, not really getting a steady role last year, maybe getting some reps late, leaving some to be desired. I'm sure he would tell you that. And he literally looks like a different ball player this year. Just completely different guy. Reinvented his body, runs between the tackles, uses his size. But the best thing about having this room and a guy like him and a guy like Morrow who can spell in and play a lot is that you can milk your passing game, your sideline game, which they did against Missouri early in the game, and then late once you're running the ball and this offensive line that is so freaking good wears on the defense, you just throw in a fresh E.J. Smith, good to go, wet behind the ears, chipper like a fresh morning after a nice pot of coffee. He's just running through people. He just looks like he has another gear because, first of all, he's reinvented, but second of all, defenses are worn down when you're throwing in quality backs. So this is a quality running back room. I wanted to start there because I'm just really, really happy with where that room is. And I think the way A&M really flexed late in that game is kind of the biggest offensive story, I think. Secondary story will be kind of just the game plan they used against Missouri. Missouri, obviously a team built from the trenches. Best defensive line A&M's faced this year. Probably the best linebacker core, too, since LSU's wasn't what it was supposed to be. And A&M, probably could have forced the issue. They probably could have tried a bunch of inside runs, wore them down, just kind of grind their teeth against it, and probably would have found some success. But they say, hey, we can do whatever the hell we want. We have pieces everywhere. We can beat you in a ton of ways. We've done it in the vertical passing game. We can do it in the short game. We can do it in the screen game. We can do it running inside. We can do it with end arounds. We can do it with quarterback run. So early in this game, they opt for a bunch of sideline passes. They opt for a lot of bubble. They opt for some screens. They opt for some tight ends over the middle, sitting in the zone. And they just chipped away with that early in the game until eventually the dam broke. And the dam broke early in the third quarter when Casey Concepcion, off of an audible from Marcel Reed, scores on that screenplay. Good job from Marcel to recognize that. I'm sure on that play, he and Klein clearly have a great relationship the way Reed talks about him all the time. They just chat on Sundays, talk about the pressure, talk about the Heisman stuff, talk about everything. But I think on that play, Klein said, hey, you get this look, we're running screen. You get this look, we're running this play. And they had the safety step in. They had the walked up blitz look. They brought them all. Marcel gets the ball out extremely quickly. Touchdown, jailbreak. That game plan worked to perfection. You chipped away. Of course, those short routes can become explosives, and they did several times in the game. And A&M just said, hey, we know your strength is here. We could probably go toe-to-toe with it, but we're just not going to because we don't have to, so quit asking. So they take the ball outside. They run a bunch of end around. They run, I didn't track it. would say if there were 100 plays this game, there weren't. But if there were 100 offensive plays, I would say on about 90 of them there was motion. They used the hell out of wide receiver motion. I would be curious how much pre-snap field was covered by Mario Craver this game just by way of motion. And that was to bubble plays, that was to end arounds, that was for deception. And those guys draw eyes, man. You can see them basically work as an extra blocker because of how much they cause pause in linebackers. They move safeties. They cause pause by the DBs because you have to account for these guys. They are 1A and 1B on the scouting report, Craver and Concepcion. So you build everything off of that. As the game wears on, you're able to just kind of start pounding because you're the kind of team that gets better over the course of a game. You wear defenses out with your offensive line and your depth and your ability to cover a lot of ground and your speed all over the place. And finally, by the fourth quarter, they're just able to run inside, do what they want to do, and move bodies around. I think we'll talk about the plays I'm mentioning later in the video because I don't want to kind of interlace them now in case I have to cut stuff out for, YouTube strikes or whatever. But late in the game, and this was something we had been asking for, or I had been asking for, I don't know about, I'm sure some of y'all were too, but they run an end around and they run quarterback counter off of it. They get flow from the linebackers and eyes from the safeties going this way. They run counter this way. Tight end and Naboo smash two front seven players. Marcel Reed runs for 15 yards, makes someone miss that good old gingerbread move. You're just in your bag offensively, man. Offensive line, you see a key guy go down. You see your top probably NFL prospect in Armaje Reed-Adams. Sounds like he came in with something that was bothering him, not super serious, but enough to take him down a notch. Gave it a couple of possessions, didn't work, and the look you wanted was Trey Zune at center and Ruben Fothery at left tackle. And I have this feeling that this offense really, really has been wanting to use Fothery. I think he's a fifth-year guy. I think he's a guy they trust. I think he's a leader. I think he's a smart player at this point. And I think they wanted to find a way to get him involved with the five if one of your guys were to go down. So instead of bringing in a guard, bringing in a Fayu, who's a quality player as well, they go to who they think their best five is, and you have the luxury of just plugging and playing offensive line. So Trey Zune just goes and plays center, and he played it really damn well. He was a key blocker on the Ruben Owens run. He was a key blocker on that Marcel Reed counter run that we just talked about. Really, really good stuff we're getting from this very versatile and just outright good offensive line. And maybe Trey Zune playing himself into a way where he can get center looks at the next level because his size is more of an inside player at the next level. So really good for him. Really good by this coaching staff to really just kind of milk best five. We're not worried too much about, when they first came in, they're like, we're not worried about chemistry. We're not worried about really, this guy being next to this guy. We want 5 of our best offensive linemen at all times. So you're able to sustain these injuries. You're able to sustain maybe a guy who's not having the best day. Really, really good stuff. Great protection in the game. There was a sack in the game that was really well defended by Missouri. Maybe Marcel picked the wrong side of the field to go to on that play. They gave up a sack. Wasn't on the O-line. Again, this O-line continues to pass pro extremely clean. And I always say, you look across the country at other offensive lines, and there are whiffs. There are misses in pass pro. Very rarely do players get beat in pass pro for A&M's offensive line. Very rarely. And since the Auburn game, very rarely are they missing on their blitz pickups. So it's been so good. It's been so good from this whole running game. Obviously, Marcel's leverage. We'll look at a play where Marcel's just ability to run freezes a linebacker. Motion freezes the other linebacker. And you have like a free lane up the middle because you get 2 pseudo blocks just from the amount of leverage you have on the field. And that obviously goes for these receivers. I mean, I talked about the O-line. We talked about the running back. We talked a little bit about Marcel. What more can I even say about these receivers that we don't see or know on a weekly basis? Game changers, program changers, team elevators, program elevators, quarterback elevators, offense elevators, team elevators, everything. They've made this team so much more lethal. Guy like ABR gets a touchdown. Really strong route, really physical route he ran there. Really got contact at the line of scrimmage. Kind of got off balance, but got back on. Knocked his defender off. That was a play-action play that kind of sucked up that safety. and Marcel gets the ball right over, and it's a tough grab that's kind of contested. You can tell Marcel's kind of throwing that ball away from the middle, maybe some scars from that LSU game, trying to keep the ball away from that other safety. And it worked out because you have other guys too. Bussy, again, I think a single reception game. I think it's a matter of time for Bussy. Kind of got banged up early in the game, but you just have an absolute arsenal of weapons out there, man. We'll end with tight ends, and there will be a couple of clips about them later too. We saw A&M use tight ends more than I think they have all year this game, whether that's split out wide, motioning in line as blockers. You know, there was a play we'll look at later where they're both lined up super wide, stacked with Craver and Concepcion, and that's just like a holy shit. I'm kind of scared if I'm a defense because you can go this side, it's lethal. You can go this side, it's lethal. They can just run the freaking ball inside, and you can run zone read with Marcel when you have a numbers, kind of equal numbers on the inside if you call it zone read. We'll look at that play later because the zone read obviously accounts for one player. But just so many ways you can go. Colin Klein, I mean, it was going to be hard to ruin this offense with how much talent it is, but he has actually elevated this offense with how creatively he has just improved the play calling and utilized personnel. I really like what they do. They know what they have, and they use their best players. They got 3 or 4 tight ends they really like. They have 4 running backs they really like. They have 4 receivers they really like. They just mix and match them all. They don't have to go to the 5th guy that's maybe a next year project. They don't have to go to the 4th tight end that's maybe a next year project. They can go 2 running back. They can go 2 tight end. They can go 3 tight end. They can throw an extra lineman out there. I mean, I could just gush on and on about this offense. I was making like weird noises watching the tape on this offense in the second half against Missouri, man. It was just so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch the evolutions. One of my favorite things is the evolution of that end around. We didn't really get it at all early in the game, in the season. In the end around, I forget which game it was, but they start actually handing it off. I think it was Mississippi State. They start actually handing it off outside. They start using that, and now we're seeing some passes off of it. Now we're seeing quarterback keeper off of it, which is something I've been waiting for. And it continues to grow, and you're eventually going to go up against one of the best defenses in the country in Texas. You have a big test versus South Carolina this weekend that has some talent on defense. I mean, they're built from the secondary down, but they'll test you in certain ways. Good pass rush there. So I'm excited to see how that keeps developing. There's a lot more they can do. I think they can get even cleaner from the quarterback position. I think Marcel can still settle down under pressure a little bit. And I'm saying that while he's having a Heisman campaign season. How freaking good can this guy be? I mean, I would wager more than a 50% chance he comes back next year just to grow a little bit more, gain some size. He's still on that upward trajectory, only like a year and a half into a starting quarterback. I think he needs another year to keep cooking. I mean, how freaking good is he going to get? Does the limit exist? Who is Marcel Reed? And who's he going to be? I can't wait to watch it. It's unfolding before our eyes, and hopefully we have 7 more games to watch it keep going because this team just gets better game to game. Talking about the defense, you get them in 3rd and 6 or more, you win. It's as simple as that. Now, there is a problem giving up explosives. There is the propensity to get into gap misfits. It just happens. It happens at the linebacker level, happens occasionally at the secondary level. It happens in open field. There was a play where we gave up the big touchdown late where we had 2 DBs, both kind of trying to take away the outside pop, and no one accounts for the middle. I think Torian York kind of misfitted there too. And I think one thing that with going up against teams that can kind of wear you down with Torian is that you want Torian on the field at all times. He's your green dot, and obviously we heard it with Caden Green, the offensive lineman, talking about how it seemed like A&M's defense knew every play. That's Torian York. That is Torian, this coaching staff, the whispers in his ear. That's a collective effort. There are tells. They will find him. But you also run the risk of Torian kind of getting a little bit gassed late in 4th quarters if you're going up against a run-heavy team where he's getting contacted by blockers the whole game, and I think we saw a little bit of that in that play. Now, fortunately, Missouri never got the ball back. You're complimentary, and that's great. But that's something to look out for. You don't really have a middle linebacker sub right now. I think maybe when Scooby's in, they can do a Scooby-Sanford deal. I don't know if they're willing to go Mikhail Sanford right now. It's a little bit young there. We'll see what happens there. This defensive line rocks. I want to highlight Tyler Onyedem because he's a 5th-year guy that A&M brought in from the portal that, you think you have what you have when you bring in an upperclassman at that age. You think you've maybe gotten a guy that's capped or peaked. But he's clearly getting better. These last 5 games, the run defense we're getting from Onyedem, the ability to just push guys back, to get off of blocks, to chase ball carriers down, to chase down from behind, to get tackles for losses, to bend the stretch run. He did a really good job of that from the defensive tackle position, which can be tougher to do. Typically, you're looking at a defensive end or a safety maybe to do that on the outside and get him to kind of loop out. He was able to do that slanting from the D tackle position a couple times in the game. Had some TFLs. I think Onyeta might be the best interior guy right now. I think Regis is rock solid. You'll never throw Regis back. He's just a quality player, always a plus player. Hicks is still on that growth trajectory, and we've seen great stuff from him. But I think Onyeta is an absolute weapon right now, man. He's changing the game for this defense. He's the best run defender in there, I think, right now. So good to have him. Obviously, Howell, I think he was Defensive Lineman of the Week for SEC. 5 tackles, had the strip sack. Unfortunately, didn't recover it. I wish he would have just stripped it and recovered it. That would have been great for his Heisman campaign so he could end in the top 10. Not going to happen, but it should happen. But, Howell's great. What a weapon. Something we wish we would have had last year. Maybe could have if he played more last year. You had to play those pros, I guess. That's just something you had to do. And he comes back, cooks for an offseason under Moffitt again, and look at him now. He's getting first-round attention. Great stuff. And with this defensive end room, the way I described it is you know what you're going to get from Howell, and then you're usually just going to get pops from the rest of the room. We had some big Cersei moments versus LSU. We had a Howell tackle for loss in this one. We've had Kennedy get after it. We had Kennedy get a sack last game. We had Marco Jones get a tackle for loss and a sack last game. So you're getting Howell, and then just kind of throw the crowd at the other one, ride the hot hand. Someone's going to make something happen. D-line's awesome. These back, kind of like that middle group, the linebackers and the safeties, and occasionally the nickel, we're getting a little mixed up on the gap fits there. But best running team you'll face all year. If you play Bama in the SEC Championship, they're not going to have a run game like Mizzou's. Georgia might. That's one to look out for. Texas currently doesn't. Their offensive line has not run blocked well. So that was the biggest test. You outgained them. You held them below, I think, their average, which was crazy. Just got to get rid of the big ones. Because as solid as you feel you are play to play, same way we felt about the pass defense last year, even if you're solid down to down, you give up the big one, that can break your back. So we're looking at that as an ever-improving aspect. But I think everywhere else on this defense has stepped up in a big way. Pass rush is great. I think run defense from the D-line is very good. Maybe not perfect, but very good. Coverage is really good. I know there's some talk about Des Ricks getting picked on a little bit. I'd be hard-pressed to find one of those plays where Des Ricks has been targeted and given stuff up, where he's not at least in good position. I think he's rounding into form still. Still a very young player. He's a sophomore-aged player. Remember, he's an early classifier. But he's not giving up jailbreaks. Last year, it was a problem. Guys running free all the time. He's in position. Now he's learning how to play the ball. He's going to learn how to get his head around. He's going to learn how to get active when that ball's coming to the point of the catch. That's the next evolution. And we're getting it. Now, you got to pick a spot to go to, and they're not going to Will Lee. They're going to target Des Ricks. So he's going to get his opportunity. And if they're targeting Des Ricks, I welcome it. Because I think he's in a great place to keep getting better. Will Lee was the highest graded defensive player if you take those grades seriously from PFF. Well-deserved, rock solid in the game, super physical corner. This man just straight gets away with pass interference, and it's awesome to watch. So physical, great boundary corner. He's going to be solid at the next level. Really, really fun stuff from them. Ratcliffe is a guy that you could watch a whole game and maybe not notice, and that is a huge compliment. He just makes the right play. He's just all-around solid out there. He's a sure tackler now. Dalton Brooks, obviously the big play guy now. He comes up with the big tackle for loss, the big blitz, the big fumble recovery, the big punt return, or the big fake punt return. I think he could probably become more solid in the other plays, but I think it's coming to form. I think he's still a guy that's on that upward track. I think maybe he comes back another year and he can really elevate that draft stock because he already garners eyes just based on the measurables and what you can see from him. And I think it's all just coming together, man. I think this defense, as we said from the start of the season, will be a group that's a work in progress from the start to the bitter end. And I think we've seen it improve, guys. I do. And, give them credit. I know people are going to discredit A&M for going up against Matt Zoller as a young quarterback, but A&M completely shut him down. A&M left no doubt there. There was not even a crack in the door for him to push open. Great job. He was shaken early because you hit him early, which is one of our keys to the game. You absolutely did it, and you shut his day down completely. And he's talented. He's going to be fine. He's a young player, but it wasn't this Saturday. So credit A&M's defense for that. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Make sure y'all like, make sure you sub. We're going to get into some film. Again, I'm no film expert. I'm just an observant fan that combs through the game every single time. I'll watch it 1 or 2 times after watching it live, because when we watch it live, we don't catch too much. We're kind of just in the emotion and the feel of the game. So I'll do my best breaking down what I see here. We're going to kind of go in order of the game, just pull plays that I found interesting, kind of in sequence of how they went in the game. This was an early one that actually didn't equate to much for the team. It was like a 1-yard run. But I really like what A&M is doing with their tight ends, and obviously we talked about how they have a lot they like to use. Look at how they stack them up outside here. They have Theo and Bork split out wide with Craver and Concepcion behind them. And look at how the safeties are backed up, or the nickels are back, whatever the players are. I think these are safeties or corners. But you have so many options on the field right here. When you spread this wide, you can first of all run zone read right here, which is I think what they do, and it's the give read, and it gets blown up. We'll show it in a second. But you could obviously throw screens either direction. I mean, you have the option here. I don't know if this is like predetermined. Maybe Klein tells them like what he's looking at, or maybe they just do this to get the clean zone read look. I think it's 5-on-6 here, which is equal numbers for zone read because the 6th defender is accounted for by the read. But they can go to either one of these guys and have a stalwart in front of them. You get a tight end in front of you. You have this guy backed off, and then you have this engagement here to work off of. And a guy like these two can just make magic happen when you got some barriers in front of you and a lot of space over here. In addition to that, if this quarterback read pops, or even if this guy gets to the next level, well, you get some bulk outside, slowing some DBs down too. And I don't know if they're going to be able to catch these guys, but like right here, you're going to get a body here. This guy probably can't get back into the play because he's going to be in a bad place here, locked up with Bork. I think that's Bork. So I really like how they're moving the tight ends around. We saw it all game. We talked about it earlier in the show, but they're start them out here, motion them to the backfield for a run, motion them all over the place, use 1, use 2, use 4 different guys. It's really fun to see this thing evolve. And they run the zone read here, but good job, number 10 here. They have a good defensive line. They got penetration here and blew up the play, got him to spin into the read guy. You're supposed to just run right past that guy. Maybe there's blockers, maybe there's space there. But getting this thing wide, it can mess a defense up. You can get big bodies out there like, look, they're blocking up here. This guy's not getting to this play. You're not getting off Bork that easily. Really fun stuff we're seeing here. All right, I'm going to move my head just so I'm not in the way as much. This one's going to the defense. And one thing we talked about going up against Missouri is you're going to see a lot of outside run. And to mess up outside run, you had to foul up the track. And you had to bend the stretch run, bend the outside zone, bend the end around here. And here they blitz Sanford and Brooks on the outside. And look at how they penetrate this offensive tackle. Right there into the backfield. This guy wants to get outside here. You have a lead blocker here, going to go take Ricks, and a lot of room to run over here. And this is just blowing up the play before it even happens. You're getting him to where there are players unaccounted for by making him cut up here. Because right here, they're on a beeline outside. All the blocks are working this direction. You make him cut up here, he's going to run into the arms of a Torian York and the rest of the defensive line. So you did this a couple times really, really well in the game. It wasn't all perfect. They didn't do this every time. But when they did, you usually got plays like this. And that's just, credit to these two, man. Brooks and Sanford. These are guys who are probably still playing, but now they're in premier roles because of injuries. And they have come up really big this season. Obviously, they're still growing players. They're not going to be perfect. But some of the big plays of the year, including this game, these guys have been a part of it, man. Credit to these two. Credit to the preparation. Credit to the staff. Good stuff. Good depth. This is one of Elko's staples. Late creep and blitz here. Offensive line can't account for him. Offensive line can't pick him up. It's Ratcliffe right here. They're showing blitz here. They're making their blitz calls, accounting for these guys. It's equal numbers. They should be able to pick all these guys up. They go max pro here, I think. We'll watch the play. I don't remember. But they bring him late. He's not committed to the blitz yet. Maybe a more veteran quarterback could call this and say, hey, offensive line, let's account for this guy, slow things down, give him a chance to call it out. But he doesn't. Comes in unaccounted for, speeds the throw up. Unexpectedly hot quarterback, had to get the ball up, incomplete. And it's just, we'll look at several plays where Elko's just in his bag. Pretty simple early on, show blitz, bring the extra as a creeper, unidentified. But things get real zesty later. This one was a fun, funky formation from A&M. Move my head. Where you have this trips tight set right here, and then you have this tight end kind of split out tight right here, standing up. So this way, you can run option, you can run end around this way, you can run a pitch play this way. You can do a lot of things over here, but all of your weapons are right here. And look at how the defense has to orient themselves to this. So you just get this. You just give the look. A funky look I don't think we've seen from A&M this year. We got a lot of that, especially early in this game. And they just run a screen this way. And you get Craver in space. You get blockers. And it's a huge explosive play for A&M. You have numbers. You have blockers. You have explosive weapons. I mean, this is Colin Klein's bag right here. You're manipulating the defense just by your form. You have it doomed from the start. You have 2-on-3. You got the safety way backed up over here. I mean, this is just A&M feasting right here. If you get this look right here, just throw it to this guy. Just do what you do. This is A&M football. I mean, easy money here. And we talked about how even though you don't have accounted blockers, this engagement right here, just this, is going to disallow him from making a play here. And obviously his speed probably would have done it anyway. It's a linebacker. But you mess the lanes up just by getting these blocks engaged on the outside, which is why that previous tight end blocking play on the outside was kind of exciting. This is one of those plays that when you watch it, you're maybe screaming at your television wondering why Des Ricks does what he does. But it's actually an extremely disciplined play. He can maybe get better at marrying both getting physical and sealing off the outside a little bit better. But this guy wants to get outside. And if Des Ricks comes screaming in at him at this angle, he can break it out and maybe have an angle on these guys and go for a huge explosive here. But Ricks closes this outside door. He sets the edge. And he doesn't get physical enough, really. But he allows these, interior players to get back into play. I have Albert Regis out here just because Ricks sticks to the assignment. Sets the edge. Doesn't let this thing bounce. And you let these players get back into the play. Early in the year, we saw it. UTSA. We saw it versus Notre Dame a couple times. You don't set the edge. These plays pop. They run to the sideline. They get a buku of yards. So, good stuff here. Des Ricks is just growing, man. He's just getting better and better in all facets. It's going to take some time. This is Tyreek Chappelle and maybe why he won Defensive Player of the Week by A&M's self-proclaimed award system this week. This is going to be a little screenplay right here to this tight little bunch. They're shifting, but Des Ricks sees it right away. I'm sorry, Tyreek Chappelle sees it right away. And I love about Des Ricks, he's an undersized nickel. He's definitely corner-sized playing nickel. He loves to get physical. He loves to tackle. He's a natural nickel because of his disposition, not because of his size. And that's really, really fun to watch. And he's a great cover guy, too, from the nickel. You get corner coverage skills with a guy that's willing to get dirty and get physical. That's what we missed last year. And you got some really, really good stuff from other guys, especially late in the year. But Des Ricks does it in a different way, man. And this is not the stuff that's going to pop later. I mean, we're not going to really show it. But great in coverage, too, against Coleman. This is just Klein manipulating coverages by using the motion. Look at what the motion does here. It causes this defender to back off. And then you get a little window right here because you have to account for Craver over here. He just sits right here in this zone. Easy reception. I mean, the perpetual motion of this offense is really part of what makes it go. You just use your leverages. You get them in action. You get them into a place where they must be accounted for accurately where you're trying to make a play. It's just easy pitch and catch right here. This is the kind of stuff they feasted on all day, the short stuff, keeping it away from this middle, especially early in the game when they're fresh. This is where you wore them down, and late in the game, the offensive line leaned on them. Look at how much suction you get from play action this play. Watch this entire line of players on this play action. You run often off of motion. You run play action off of motion. It gets these guys thinking, can they hand the ball off to Craver? Are they going to run a screen to Craver? Are they going to hand the ball off inside? And they just all get sucked up, and then Casey Concepcion makes a guy miss over the middle. I mean, look at him right there. This is just wide open spaces. Running beeline to the spot. Catch it. Easy pitch and catch. Good ball from Marcel to keep it behind this guy. This is a short yard situation, a conversion play, I think, on a 3rd and short. Thin margin play. You only need a yard. You don't need to be explosive here. It'd be great if you were. But this motion here causes just enough of a pause from him and backs up this safety. This safety. And these are both players that could potentially close the door on a super thin margins play right here. He gets frozen. He's out of position. And you have just enough daylight here to get the yard you need. Because otherwise, I mean, this guy could just beeline it and close this door. This guy could be much more into this play if he's actually starting this play from here. So you just run motion, hand the ball off, and it's basically like getting an extra block. Perpetual motion, man. Perpetual motion. All right, guys. Here's Onyedum. This is stabbing, bending that outside run. Watch Onyedem's penetration here. Boom, in the backfield. You're not getting on that track, buddy. They might be winning over here. They might have you walled off here. He might be in trouble if this thing gets outside. Onyedem says, not so fast, my friend. And look, since this play's supposed to go out here, let me move this screen so you can see it better. This play is supposed to run this direction. You have the wall here to account for him if he's on his track. But since he has to cut up, this blocker is irrelevant to this player. And he's just going to be untouched and make the tackle. And this is a Onyedem play that great tackle by Sanford he gets credit for. Onyedem doesn't get a stat from this play, but the coaches see it. We know it. And this is why you get back-to-back defensive linemen of the week at Texas A&M. Plays like this, just that action right there, him just moving this guy back, ruining this play, is huge. All right, we got to talk about the strip sack before the half. It was a huge play in the game, a huge momentum snatcher in the game. These are the plays you can generate with scheme and good players. Let's just watch it first, then we'll talk about it. I mean, just a huge untouched defender, and then you get the scoop, almost a score. Should have been a score, man. We got to get one of these in, Dalton Brooks. You get 2 opportunities, you got to get one. But this is a offensive line that is slide protecting left. You can see them all going left. These guys are walling off right. They're accounting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players right here. These 5 are committing to the left side where they see him hanging off the end. You have to account for Cassius Howell. Looks like he's in a blitz here. All they do is loop him out this way. Loop him away from the slide protection, making their rules wrong and untouched. You kind of get like a twist around with Torian York and Sanford on that tight end there. Obviously, A&M is just going to win a 3-on-2, and that's how you do it. You know they're slide protecting. You invite the slide protect by hanging your defensive end off of this side away from the tight ends, and it happens. And you just abuse it by looping this guy out. Things aren't as they seem with Mike Elko's blitzes. Huge play, man. A&M has been really good in the moments this year. This game, obviously, this was a huge moment. Close game at half. They're almost to midfield. You get this play done. Later in the game, you stall after a really fast start to the second half, and you do the fake punt, and that is a huge moment of the game that really just wins you the game right there. The game kind of ended after that. Mizzou couldn't catch up. You went back up 3 scores. You look at the LSU game, it was close coming out of the second half, and you just take over in that critical coming out of the half moment, and you never look back in that one. You can look at the short yardage play, E.J. Smith versus Arkansas. 4th and 1, you have to get it, or Arkansas is in a really good position to make that a game. You don't let it happen. Auburn gets the ball back late with a chance to take the lead. Defense doesn't even get close to letting that happen. A&M wins the game late in South Bend. They're just good in the moments. They play winning football. They play winning moments in football. Let's talk about Nate Borkesher, because every time we get a chance to talk about Nate, I'm going to take it. And this isn't even a play where A&M does much. This is like a gain of 1 when you needed 2 at the goal line. I just want to look at what Nate Borkesher does here and what A&M does with the tight end position. They motion him into the backfield to seal off this outside guy. And look at this. Boom. Get on your ass. Get on your ass. This is our tight end. And I got to give Theo credit. He's not the one making the play here. Theo has become a really good blocker. And it's happened before our very eyes. Struggled last year at times. Struggled a little bit this year early at times. They're both getting quality reps. We are getting absolute quality reps from the tight end position in blocking. And they're getting receptions too. Last few games, it's been huge for this team. Obviously, these receivers garner a lot of attention. These guys are open. And these guys are moving bodies. The very next play, Nate Borkesher gets the block for a touchdown. How many of those does he have this year? 5, 6? Same play, other direction. Same play, other direction. Run him in. Get him on the defensive end. Or whatever this guy is. Blitzer. I don't know what he is. Linebacker. Wall him off. There's your tunnel. Get in the end zone, young man. Love us some E.J. Smith, huh? Short yard back, late game back. Good stuff. I talked about how the D end room was kind of Cassius Howell and then ride the hot hand in the field. You get good stuff from everybody else in the field. Just a quick showcase of Dayon Hayes disregarding a blocker and getting a tackle for loss right here. Boom. Get off me. I mean, if it's not Hayes, it's Cersei, it's Kennedy. Marco Jones will continue to have a bigger say as the year goes on. It's a good defensive line, man. It's a better defensive line than last year, which is incredible to say. We talked about it a lot this year, and it's just the case. It's wild. This one's kind of funny. A&M had brought the exotic blitz, the unannounced blitz, the sneaky blitz so often early in the game. Missouri just committed to max protect. So on this play, they're going to keep these two backs in the backfield to block. A&M's not even showing blitz here, but they're just so fouled up by what A&M had been throwing earlier in the game that they have to commit to it. A&M only rushes 4 on this play. And look at how many bodies you have around the targeted receiver. Like, look at this coverage. Look at the numbers advantage you get. Am I in the way? I mean, you get your work done early in the game. You open things up later. There's 4 rushing. And you just have the white jerseys everywhere out here. And the quarterback has to get it out. I mean, he throws it up. He thinks he sees a guy. But there's just so many bodies out there. You really got to this offense, man, as the game went on. And, of course, they still had some running success. But passing success, nope. This is the Ruben Owens touchdown run. Really good play call. Really fun stuff. So this linebacker and this linebacker, they don't get blocked, but they might as well have. Because what A&M does here is they're going to motion Theo across. This linebacker is thinking this could be some sort of outside run, a sweep, some kind of off-tackle run over here. This one is respecting Marcel Reed's pull and his ability to run this way. And this middle just opens up. You get 2 double teams right here. He's frozen for Marcel. There's no Reed guy here. This is not zone Reed. This is a handoff all the way, it looks like. He is protecting this outside because the way this blocker is coming in here, he thinks this could be an outside run. So Colin Klein blocks this guy. Great blocks right here. And Ruben Owens, this was the play where he hit 21 point something miles an hour. I didn't show the whole thing because I don't want to get flagged. So fast in open field. Let this thing develop. Obviously, this was just daylight. I mean, this was an easy one. But you just see him outrun everybody and look really cool doing it. Great play design. Great leverages everywhere. I mean, just him. Gingerbread. His ability just to make things happen. You have to respect it, and it messes this guy up. And I know I showed a lot of positive. I'm going to show one negative. This is the touchdown they gave up late. I think this is just a misfit by Torian. He's going to kind of shoot inside. The gap is here. He's the only one that has this entire side of the linebacker position. You have the nickel out here, but he's in coverage. So Torian's going to kind of get caught up inside, but he just looks gassed to me on this play. Like, look at him try. See, he's out. I think that's just the nature of going up against a running team the entire game and not really subbing middle linebacker. I think maybe he's fresher. He can make a play here. He does make a mistake here, getting caught up right here. He should be over here. You have defensive linemen taking care of these gaps. This should be him. You make another mistake out here. These guys both try to close off the outside. He should have gone inside. I think he should have closed off outside. I mean, just a bad defensive play. You got to get rid of these. And then what the hell? Marco Jones coming. He'll be here one of these days. It might be this year. He might have a big say the rest of this season as he keeps getting more comfortable and more in tune with this defense. And this is the last play I have for you guys, I believe. And I have 2 more plays. This just kind of showcases A&M throwing in fresh bodies late in the game and A&M's offensive line wearing. I think early in the game, Missouri's front went toe-to-toe with this offensive line. Got some penetration, got some push in the run game. But here you just see clean blocks. They run outside power here. Ruben Fothery, like, in a tall stance here for run blocking. But he just stands up and walls this guy off. Good contact here. Enough contact from Basantis here. And maybe if this is a tired running back or they're a little bit less tired, this guy can make a play here. But when you throw a fresh E.J. Smith in who runs hard and viciously, and he's more fresh than the rest of the players on the field, he can just outrun it. I mean, to watch it full speed now, like watch it live, it just looks like he has more zip and pop at this juncture of the game. I mean, that's just running back room depth. That's the offensive line wearing on the defense. That's spreading the entire field early in the game with those sideline plays they ran a lot early, wearing a defense down. That's their nickel there that E.J. Smith runs away from, number 13. This is a luxury, man. An offensive line that can wear you out and a running back room that goes 5 deep. And this is the last play I'll show you guys. This is one that I've been waiting for all year. So we saw an evolution, right? I'll talk before I show the play. We really didn't see a lot of end around early. You started running it in the mid portion of the year. You really started running it once Le'Veon Moss went down. And you just run it perpetually versus Missouri in this game with that really good front seven. So they kind of knew they could kind of build into it And they didn't have to do it too much against LSU, that they did do it quite a bit because LSU's defense was really messed up. Use it a lot this game. All right, this one they're going to run motion across, and they haven't run the quarterback keeper off of this, I don't think, at all this year. They ran it late last season, but I have been waiting for it this season. They had, started the year without a lot of end arounds. I don't think they had run an end around until like Mississippi State. I literally don't think they ran one. They started running it then. They've amplified it since Le'Veon went down to kind of just keep playing to your strengths. And they ran perpetual motion versus Missouri, a defense that they felt like they really could use it against to mess up a really good front seven. Didn't have to do it as much against LSU, that they did do it some against LSU. But here, they run motion. They obviously get the flow from this linebacker, this safety, I think, running this way. You get all these linemen pushing bodies this way. But then you bring Riley and Naboo back on the counter block, and Marcel gets a wide open space to run right here. And Marcel's a juker, man. He's going to go for the juke every time rather than trust his speed. So he goes a little razzle-dazzle gingerbread action right here. Juke's got out of his shoes. I'm sure Tessitore loved this one. He was on the call. But this is just the evolution off of that motion. This is Colin Klein in his bag of tricks. We saw it all game. I think this was his best game to date. It was a really, really fun play that got Marcel Reed going late. And again, I know we had a lot of questions about when quarterback run's going to come. When's it going to come? Late in this game, we got a scramble for a first down, and we got this one. They always have it in the back pocket. Marcel Reed's not a big guy. You only have one quarterback right now that's an upperclassman that you trust late in the season, in the playoffs, in the SEC championship, semifinals, quarterfinals, however far you get. You need him healthy. So you use it sparingly because you have so many other weapons. You don't have to spam quarterback run. Here they use it when they feel like they can. Defense is tired. Marcel Reed's fresher. They get a big play off of it. Guys, this is a really fun game to rewatch. A lot of really good things, from the Elko blitz package to Colin Klein using the tight ends to the use of perpetual wide receiver motion. I want to hear your thoughts. What stuck out to you? What are your big takeaways? And what are the next evolution of this offense specifically? Because you got a good South Carolina defense, then you have an elite Texas defense coming down the stretch of the season. Should be a lot of fun, guys. This team can do so many different things. We showcased that today. We talked about it. I can't stop gushing about this team. I'm going to make another video right after this one previewing the South Carolina game. Make sure you guys watch that one. If you're watching this one, that one might already be out. They're going to drop on the same day. And then I'll see you guys Thursday for the live show. But, guys, thanks for being here. Make sure you sub. We'll talk really soon. Gig 'em.